Welcome back to the Wise Build Bridges. Today I am joined by the wonderful Courtney Ismain from Jamii. For those that don't know Courtney, she is the co-founder of Jamii, which is a marketplace and discovery platform for Black British creators and makers. When the business launched in 2016, Courtney's main job at Jamii was to write weekly newsletters on the side of her university studies. Now she handles pretty much everything. So we're going to be getting into that journey. Thank you so much, Courtney, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm going to actually start from where you studied and what you studied because we have that in common, which is Spanish. What kind of inspired you to learn Spanish? You also learned Portuguese too at uni.
Yeah. So I had been studying Spanish since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Of all the subjects I studied, languages just came most naturally to me, except German. I hate German.
Oh, yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, I've always felt that Spanish has been like a really simple language to learn. Like phonetically, it's super easy. Like everything is pronounced exactly how it looks.
Yes.
So I guess that was one of the reasons why I felt like I was good at it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and it's such a versatile thing. So even when I was in high school, I thought, oh, I can do everything with this. I can be a translator. I can live in Spain, live in Latin America.
Yeah.
There's so much I can do with languages. And yeah, I took it to uni. I picked up Portuguese as well because in English unis they let you pick a new subject from scratch. And
Yeah.
Portuguese came really easy for me because of all the Spanish that I know. The grammar is like almost identical.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I think of all my studying, like my whole life, languages has been what has come easiest to me.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
always enjoyed it.
Yeah. How did you find that experience of learning about languages at uni? Because at uni, I think it goes much further than just the language, right? You learn about the history, the culture, which kind of gives us this much bigger context. Like, how did you find that? Were there certain areas that you were a lot more interested in, or was it really about kind of like the language for you?
It was definitely more about the society, the cultural history side. Well, I don't say it was more, but that was never a struggle for me. I seriously enjoyed it. So yeah, especially because Spain, Portugal, and Latin America have such a rich, diverse history.
Yes.
It's I guess I just found it super interesting. Like
for sure.
The racial history as well.
100%.
I think I did my dissertation on racism in Portugal, so it was
something interesting.
That I was good at writing essays anyway.
Yeah.
So I found the research really super interesting, and I think it would something that would even make me want to do a PhD.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to explore there.
A lot,
and
yeah.
I'm so glad that I did a languages degree because it did come down to more than just the language and the grammar. It was all about the country as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. One of my final year modules, and I think one that I took the most joy in, was this module called Is Spain White? And it was fascinating. I was just there like, wow, it was really good.
Serious?
Yeah.
That sounds like something that I'd love to
It
know
was
about.
so good. Yeah, it was quite a small group of us. Of course, like all the black people in the course, which was three of us, were in that class.
Yeah.
And I just found it really interesting. The lecturer that we had, he was like really good friends with quite a few people, so he'd bring them in, and it was like a real debate. And it was like the difference in language between like South America, for example, and Spain. And at the time, I don't know if that's changed since, but like for example, they didn't have an official term for like a mixed race person in Spain, and I found that really interesting as well to talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was that, like, I was just, because there's so much historical context behind it.
Yeah.
And like how do they people see themselves now, because even we have this divide, right, between like Western Europe, Southern Europe. It's like you have all of these kind of I don't know that it's a strict divide, but references, right?
Yeah.
And then the idea of like whiteness coming into that, and what does that mean? I thought it was really interesting.
That is so interesting. Yeah. We'll talk about topics, even in relation to Portugal, I'd love to know that, and that's come up before. Because like Portugal and Spain, I guess, way back have some Arabic influences,
big,
and so and in comparison to a British person would probably say they're exotic.
Yes.
Portuguese person would probably say they're white.
It's very interesting,
Yeah.
for sure.
And in Portugal, I'm mixed race. I don't even know how I would actually say that.
Talk about that
in Portuguese or talk about it. I just say
it's
I'm half black and I'm half white, so I don't actually know.
there's no or otherwise it's like a really like what's the word? It's like a term, but it's not like a positive one. You know,
it can be derogative.
That is exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah, they're quite, they're used in not a very nice way. So you're not going to want to self-refer yourself as that either. So
and there's just so much like racial politics in someone else's country. Even as a mixed race person who's grown up in Portugal, I'm sure they have their own experiences.
1,000,000%.
Ways to refer to themselves I wouldn't even understand.
Yes, 100%. I did find it really interesting. So you did your year abroad in Portugal, but then you actually lived in Lisbon after uni as well. How was that? What was the decision making behind that?
There was no decision making. I was like, listen, I love it. I'm coming back. So I lived in Coimbra in my year abroad.
Right.
Loved it. Student life, amazing. It was amazing. I think I had like classes like only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Good times.
So Friday to Monday,
long weekends,
somewhere else. And then it was there that I went to Lisbon for a week, and I said I want to live here. It's a gorgeous city.
I feel like everyone that goes through Lisbon says that.
So really, I wasn't special. I was just someone else.
But you actually committed. Like you actually went the step further, which I did that with Barcelona as well. Like I went there for a week, and I was like, I'm gonna live here.
I mean, I think 18 months later, I finally got there. I graduated. I moved in September after I graduated in 2018. And I loved it. Like, what's not to love? There was sun. Everything was so cheap.
Yes.
The beach, the brilliant weather. It's a gorgeous city. So I was there for about a year and a half before the pandemic started.
Yes.
And then I was there for a year of the pandemic, and then I moved back to London.
Okay. And did you move back because of the pandemic, or did you move back for work? Like, what was the reasoning behind that?
I think it was a bit of both. It was mainly work. So 2020 was such a busy year for us.
Yes.
And although people were all working from home, come 2021, people were going out more and we were doing more physical events. So it just wasn't feasible for me to be living in another country.
For sure.
Especially when we were just a 2-person team. It made way more sense for me to be able to work on a physical event with my sister and also work in an office with her where we could bounce ideas off each other. So I thought after 3 years or so living in Lisbon, it was just time to come back to London.
Did you? Because I mean, you've been to Lisbon since the pandemic as well. Have you felt like a noticeable like change or shift, like pre or post pandemic, like when it comes to Lisbon?
That's such a good question. I don't think so. When I arrived the first time, it was fairly touristy. I think it's just getting more and more touristy. Which isn't necessarily my vibe. That might have also played a role in the reason why I moved back. I will never forget though. I think it was July 2020. It was like a Monday. I think there was a bank holiday in England, so I wasn't working that day. There were no tourists around because it was a pandemic, and obviously everyone else was at work. I was walking through those streets, and they were so quiet. It was dead. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I have Lisbon to myself. It was incredible. Naturally, more tourists came back, and it's kind of back to normal now. But I didn't really notice a change pre or post pandemic. In Barcelona.
I mean, I guess it's that same thing of where there's obviously a real lull, and it was like the restrictions in Catalonia in general were really, really strict. And so we couldn't leave Catalonia for about 6 months. So we were like, even just flying out the country, which wasn't even an option. And at the time I was living by the Sagrada Familia. And so we hadn't done yet like a full summer of tourism living in that area. So it was really nice during COVID because it was, again, so quiet, like really calm, peaceful. But as soon as those restrictions were lifted, you felt it. Like you really, really felt it. Yeah, getting the metro became a nightmare. Like you would actually actively avoid like going down that block. You'd be like, I'll walk a few more blocks, go to the next station because it's busy.
Yeah.
It's busy. Yeah. And I guess because obviously these places get sunnier a lot earlier than others, you know, tourist season doesn't start in like June. It starts pretty much in February. Like it gets really busy again. So I guess it's more that is that you just get used to something different.
Yeah.
And so then when it gets busy again, it feels a bit like, give me back my city.
Although I did check the weather in Lisbon. I happened to check the weather this morning and it's 26 degrees.
Yeah. I'm flying back to Barcelona tomorrow and I'm so excited. It's like here they're predicting snow. And I'm like, yeah, for the bank holiday weekend. Yeah, just to give you guys a time stamp. We're filming this just before the May bank holiday weekend.
Oh my god!
And apparently they're predicting snow.
No way! No, I'm coming to Barcelona.
Snowy showers.
No, I'm sick of it. No, my friend who lives in Madrid told me that only very, very recently they stopped like the mask mandate in Spain. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
yeah, I was still wearing masks on public transport.
Wow.
Up until this year, maybe Feb this year.
Wow.
Yeah, they were on it.
They dropped it in the UK.
They dropped it so fast in the UK. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, we were watching like the UK. We were like, you guys are mad. Like, I don't know if you like get really caught up in it. Do you know what I mean? But it was just watching it. I was just because it happened, you know, in stages. Like obviously with Europe, like Italy got hit first, and then Spain was really soon after.
Yeah.
And it was like this pattern, like we could see the pattern. And so it kind of felt like the logical thing was for other countries to like take a preventative approach. And it just didn't happen. Like it just didn't happen. And even when the UK was in the thick of it for a long time, like the numbers were at the top. And still like the measures were nowhere near close to what we were doing. I mean, ours, I think, were maybe at points too strict. Like we had curfews, we had like restaurants for a really long time could only open during lunch. So like you couldn't really socialize after work. So they did a lot, but I guess they were very reactive to the numbers that were happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same in Portugal. There were curfews on weekends, like 1 p.m. or something like that, which meant that everyone would converge in the morning.
Yes, it didn't stop people from doing stuff and like going out and stuff. Like we had that with the weekends. We just start at brunch. We'd just be like, right, we're meeting at 10 or 11 and we're doing this. Like, yeah. But yeah, that feels like it feels like so long ago, like a different time, doesn't it?
It's like, have we learned anything? Like,
I don't know that we have. I really don't know that we have. I feel like it can happen again and we just be at zero.
Like, what? Honestly, like, it feels like we were so eager to put that in the past. We've forgotten about it.
I do think it was a good show of like human resilience in general, though, because like people did adapt, and you do like. If you have to, if you're in a situation where you have to, then you just kind of get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Which I thought it was impressive. And the fact that it was global, you know, like it wasn't just in one little place. It was everywhere.
It was bizarre. Like, do you remember April 2020? Everyone was
crazy.
In it together.
It was crazy. And everyone, were you like monitoring numbers as well? Just like, oh my God. I was looking at numbers, like daily numbers. I had to stop at one point. It was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much.
I remember that point I didn't have news apps on my phone, and it was only after March 2020
that you got going.
Yeah, it was like, you know, depressing to have the breaking news notifications come up. Like every hour, BBC News is so...
Yeah, it was just like, bing!
It was... God, it was such a novel time that we'll never get again, and hopefully
touch wood.
Thank God. But yeah, it was weird time.
Yeah.
Everyone was in it together. Everyone was like being supportive of each other in that first lockdown.
Yes. Yeah, and then it just went to chaos.
Yeah, hopefully we're long past it now then.
Yeah, hopefully, for sure. To take it back to Jamie,
Yeah.
we did a big detour into COVID. Didn't see this coming,
Yeah.
but let's do it, you know. But to take it back to Jamie, I think you guys maybe don't get enough credit for what you've done in terms of changing people's perspectives and like seeking out more black owned businesses. Like I think you're part of like the first companies that like really made it a thing to like seek out these creators and makers. And part of that was with the card in terms of like trying to make it mainstream, I guess, in that sense. How did that kind of come about in the first place?
So it was back in 2015 that Carly and my sister, who's the other co-founder, had the idea for the discount card.
Yeah,
It was basically made to be an incentive to encourage customers to go off the beaten track,
yeah,
support businesses that they haven't heard of before. Maybe because with small businesses, maybe you have to spend a little bit more.
yeah,
So basically, that incentive, you get a discount for kind of like a reward
yeah,
for doing that and supporting a small business. So Kylia launched the business in 2016. The only product, like our flagship product at the time, was our discount card. And then since then, we've evolved into a marketplace and I guess a platform that does more than that. So
yeah,
we'll work with organizations on like a variety of initiatives,
for sure.
but at the heart is kind of bringing down the barriers of shopping small, shopping black-owned businesses, and making it as easy and convenient as possible. So that's where the Jamii card always comes back around.
Yeah, amazing. And in the intro, I mentioned that at the beginning you were kind of involved with the copywriting bits, like the newsletter, some of the socials. How involved were you kind of with, I guess, like the germination of the idea of Jamie, and how did your role kind of gradually increase?
So I started doing the newsletter, I think, as soon as Jamii launched.
Yeah,
Or doing copy, kind of website copy. I don't really remember. It was mainly the newsletter. And that was in 2016, late 2016. And then around 2019, Kalia had already gone full time, so she was working on it part time.
Yeah,
before then, and I had been working on it kind of part time as well with my university studies and then with my first job. Around 2019, she asked me to take over like the operations side, website operations. So I was taking on more of the copy, generally looking after the website, while still doing the newsletter, and then blog posts as well. I guess whenever you'd see something written down, it was me.
Right. Yeah.
And then 2019, October, Black History Month. So like all straight into it is when I went full time. And I think my role at the time was like content and website operations.
Right.
So it's just like more officially, I'm doing the blog posts and newsletters and the website operations.
Yeah.
But everything you see on the website is me.
Yeah.
Everything you are emailed about is me. Blog posts and that kind of thing. And when you're in a startup, and especially when the team is so small, it's just the two of us, you kind of just do everything that needs to be done.
For sure.
And so sometimes I'd ask Kylie, like, what do you do? I know what do you do? And she's just like, everything that you're not doing, I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. And now that it's just me in the company, everything that I'm doing everything.
Yeah. Now you know what she was doing.
I'm doing, yeah.
Yeah. How is it like working so closely with your sister?
I always say that it could have gone either way.
100%.
And luckily it went a good way.
Yeah.
Because we kind of balance each other out. She's more like strategy long term, and I love to just get into it, and she'll tell me something that needs to be done and I'll be like, right, I'll do it. I'm the daily operations and she's the long term thinker.
Right. It's a good balance.
Yeah. And I think she'll say that I'm more grounded in my ideas. So if she comes with like a big idea, I guess I'll think about whether it's actually is.
Yeah, you'll be able to like break it down, I guess, into like, okay, how do we get to that final goal? Yeah. We've got to break it down a little bit.
Yeah. So in that sense, our skills and our temperaments balance each other out.
Yeah. Were you guys already quite close pre-Jamii? Like, did you already have like quite a strong relationship?
Yeah, we did. But having to be in an office every day be next to each other in the office. Like, it's actually made us closer.
Yeah.
We will spend 8 hours a day in the office, and then we'll get on the phone to each other, be like, it's like I haven't seen you.
That's cute. I mean, I guess it's a completely different thing, right? There's like work, and then there's like life. Like what's going on with your life? Like we have that as well. We do, like, a lot of us are quite good friends from school. And like we
Really,
speak,
from school?
yeah, from school, yeah.
Like you went to school together and then went apart and then now work together.
Pretty much, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. With the leadership team, we've known each other for like 15. I mean, Danny, even longer than that. Scott, one of our content writers, even longer than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
So we've
cool.
always known each other, and we have that where obviously we're speaking to each other every day and we're updating each other, and then it's like, what's actually going on with you? Like, what's happening in your life? Like, and you actually have to be a lot more intentional about checking in from that side of things, because you just forget, because you are in touch so much. Then you just, you kind of almost let those bits slip sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
About the team. So like, how?
So basically,
form, I guess, the team.
In terms of like how we got together, in terms,
yeah.
So Fabio's is the one with the biggest SEO experience in the team. He's been in it. It's gonna be 10 years, I reckon, pretty soon. And he was working a lot more on like the customer, like, service side, and like working really closely with clients. And essentially it was 2020, like when George Floyd was murdered, I think was a huge call to action for a lot of people in the Black community. And he was very much like, what can I do with my expertise that is helpful? Like, how can I contribute? And he conducted this piece of research, which basically showed that there were hardly any Black-owned businesses that were ranking in search engines. And he, in his experience, had never really come across a CEO or a Black-owned business, essentially, that he was working with, which he was like, this is weird because my day-to-day doesn't look like this. And so he wanted to find a way to fix that. So he spoke to two other friends who now aren't involved, and they kind of came up with this business plan. Jamii had always worked in startups, so had strong startup experience. So he reached out to Jamii to get involved. And then as a friendship group, we all kind of consulted, like, whatever our experience was, we would give our opinion in on something. I was maybe a bit more vocal than others on some points. And then I joined part-time for marketing. And we just drew on people's skills. So like Danny had a degree in English, so was a great writer. So he came in then with writing and kind of built it out. So it was like a kind of natural thing of like, who do we know in our network? Who is good at what? Where can we place them? Can we afford them?
I had no idea that you all knew each other before.
Yeah.
It's so good how that works out then. Using everyone's skills.
Yeah. And I think what has worked particularly well is because we do have these quite distinct set of skills and we kind of all have our areas of expertise, then like, because I think it's the same with your sister, like it could go either way, right? It could either be like the falling out and the breaking of like a really long friendship, or it makes it better. And I like to think that it's gone that way. And I think it's because we really respect what each other brings to the table. And so if, we can have the disagreement, but at the end of the day, if it's not your area of expertise, then you just lean on the person who's like, this is my thing. So
yeah, exactly. It's about trust, not really stepping on each other's toes, and
exactly.
Trusting that everyone else is doing their job.
Exactly. So that's how we've grown.
No idea. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's always great to be able to say, I work with my friends. It's a great time. Yeah, and it creates like completely different dynamics as well. I think that is something that we were really intent on bringing into the table in terms of creating a specific culture as well, because I think specifically maybe me and Fabio had felt types of way in other like corporate spaces where it was like, I can't be entirely myself, or this issue has come up and I know that it's to do with either the fact that I'm young, a woman, or non-white. Like, it's going to be one of the three, maybe all of them.
Yeah.
And so I think we both really had this interest of bringing through like a new generation of talent, because I think marketing sector is quite hard to get into sometimes if you don't have the right network or right resources. And so we were really intent, like we've got quite a few apprentices in the company that don't have a uni degree, but that is fine because you don't necessarily need that. So it's things like that marketing can be quite sometimes an elite profession, I feel. So yeah, it's been great to be able to create like this new version of like, what does business look like? What does professionalism look like? What do all these things kind of really mean?
Yeah, definitely. And with marketing as well, like you're, I guess, creating the representation, the outward representation that people will see.
Yeah.
And so diversity in that representation is key, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely part of the things that keep us going, for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes I think a lot about how I guess I'm working in a black-owned business. I'm working with a lot of black-owned businesses. And it's such a huge contrast from like jobs I've had before where I've been like the only non-white person in the company.
100%.
And it's just, or like the only black person in the company. And it's funny to think, I don't know if I had to go back to, if I went to a corporate job or if I went to another environment, how long, first of all, how I would deal with it every day. I'm not sure, I'm not saying it would be horrible.
No.
But whether or not I'd enjoy it, whether or not I could deal with it, or if I'd notice straight away, this really isn't my vibe. Or if I'd go into a startup and it would be like diverse.
Yeah, I think you have a better chance with like the smaller teams and the startups. And I guess, for example, if you're a team of 10 and you are the only like non-white person in the room, then you can be. I think you're naturally more forgiving towards it because it's like, okay, 1 in 10, fair enough. But then as the team gets bigger, and if that representation doesn't grow with it, then I think you feel it a lot more. And what I found a lot of the time is that I kind of naturally kind of became a spokesperson, even though I didn't necessarily want to be that person and I didn't know half enough. Like it was just like, this is just my experience. I'm pretty sure people in my shoes would feel the same. Here's what we should do about it, or here's how we can do things differently. But sometimes that I think is that burden, right? That a lot of like, if you're part of like a minority group, that a lot of the time you'll experience of just it's weight on your shoulders because you're the one who's having to force change through on top of having to do your day-to-day job. Like you didn't hire me to do this, but I'm having to do it to be comfortable in the workplace that I'm in.
And the people around you may not understand.
No, and it's like part of it is like, okay, I get it that you don't understand, but I don't know. I guess then that's the whole talk of like HR and you now have like more teams like dedicated towards diversity and things like that. But what does that really mean? Like I found that, if, for example, I live in Spain, so again the conversation is quite different. I think when we talk about diversity, a lot of the time we're really talking gender and we're talking about women in the workplace. And so it was a very interesting, it's like a shift of perspective because you get white women who are like, oh yeah, this place is fantastically diverse because we've achieved like either gender parity or we're at 40%. And I'm like, yeah, but everyone still looks the same, really. Like everyone is still from like a top university, has a master's degree, is, completely like, it's like there's no like disability representation or neurodiversity or sexuality, all of that just doesn't even get a look in. So I do think it's an interesting one.
Especially in another country.
Because
we can talk all about what the situation is for Britain and why it's like that, and history and diversity. I personally don't know anything about Spain, Spain's ethnic diversity. I know it's becoming more diverse, especially places like Barcelona. But in terms of those conversations about how much diversity there should be in representation, like what's people's stance generally?
People just, from the conversations that I've had, they just don't really see it as an issue. Like, for example, when the Black Lives Matter movements were happening,
a lot of the conversation was, well, that's not our problem, like that's a UK or American thing. Maybe they'd extend it to it's a French thing too, but Spain, they kind of just count themselves out. We did have protests, and it was actually a very powerful thing to attend those protests. It was like, oh my God, here are all the Black people. I used to work in this huge office building. It was like, I don't know, it had like 36 floors. Like, it's a huge building. There was maybe 3 of us that were Black working there in like within the corporate space. I think with Spain, it's probably like 30 to 50 years behind, where you don't really have integration like that much. Typically, you'll see like ethnic minorities working like quite like laborious style jobs. You don't see them in corporate. Like, I remember when I first moved out there and I was telling people that I was looking for a job, everyone assumed that I was going to work in hospitality, like work behind like a hotel desk or in a restaurant. Or I was like, I'm trying to work in an office. And people are like, are you sure? And then those of us that do, we're not Spanish. We're not from Spain. We're expats. Like, I hate that term, but yeah, we don't come from Spain a lot of the time. Like, it's quite a rarity, which also makes Fabio a very interesting person because he's from Barcelona.
Yeah.
And so I think he's got a very unique insight into that. But yeah, you just don't see it as much. Like, those populations do exist, but I do think it's quite segregated. Feels like a really strong word, but it's separate. Like, it's not as integrated into your everyday society.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And I'm so like curious about that now, because I guess we take it for granted in London, especially.
Yeah, I've always said London is a bit of a double-edged sword, because it's one of those things where you grow up and you just don't. I don't know if it's complete privilege or naivety. I just didn't think about my race until I left London for uni. At uni, I felt it. Like, I went to Leeds, which should feel that crazy, but at Leeds, I felt it. Like, I got called like some pretty strong names.
Yeah.
Just people like not knowing like half caste. Like, half caste, I was called half caste a lot.
God, yeah, same.
And I was like, are you guys mad? Like, do you know what you're saying to me right now? Like, and they would just say it like, essentially be like, oh, what's the term now? And I'd be like,
not that.
Like, I just don't think you're understanding right now. Like, it was wild. And like, yeah, and it was, again, like, for example, in the building that I lived in first year, there was at least like 200 students living there. 2 of us were mixed race. That was pretty much like the Black representation in that building. But and that just baffled me, and I really felt it. I actively sought out Black people, which I'd never really done before, because in London that's just not a thing that is necessary to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like joined the Afro-Caribbean Society. I was like, and it was weird because I felt like I was quite used to being in predominantly white environments in certain aspects. Like, for example, the French side of my family is completely white, and so like when I go to France, it's a very white environment, and you know, I've never felt uncomfortable in it. Maybe a bit more actually as I've grown up and become more aware, but never really like, you know, I can adapt to that environment. I'm fine in it, but I guess it's fine because it's a temporary thing. Whereas here at uni, like, this was my life, this was my day to day, and I was like, I just need to find a space where I don't have to think about what I say. Or they called me a posh chav, and I was like so confused by that. I was so confused, and the chav part was apparently because I was just not white, and I was like, that makes no sense to me. Like, but it was like, oh, you're so well spoken, or like, you know, it's, and you just like, you noted these comments, or people would say that I was really intimidating, which I found wild. Like, especially if you ask my friends who live in London, intimidating, I think, is the last word that people would use. I'm quite smiley, friendly. I like to be liked. I am that person. But yeah, at uni, I was this intimidating person because I would correct people on the pronunciation of my name. And I was just like, I don't know, what do you want me to do with that? And so, yeah, just that, have that place of comfort was really important.
Yeah, I had like a similar experience, especially with people just not thinking that saying half caste is offensive.
Yeah, that one's still like, I just like, just listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, really listen to the words you're using.
But it's like, I mean, it's a really interesting one because I went to Southampton.
Yeah.
And so it was my first time living outside of London. Like, exactly like what you said. London, everything's diverse, we take it for granted.
Bubble.
Like, it's not that I didn't know anything about race and racism and didn't like, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Of course, racism.
Of course.
Happened.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think living in such a diverse city it felt like a privilege, because then I got to Southampton and no one knew the half caste was not the correct term. They just said it. No one knew, you know, you can't say coloured.
Yes.
That's dated.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
I'd have braids in and people would pull my hair.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah.
When Solange came out with "Don't Touch My Hair," I was like, let's play a bit now. Like, honestly, like, don't pat me.
Honestly, I'd be in the club, people would like put their hair in my afro. That happened all the time.
I don't think the excuse is that she was really drunk. She literally took my braids as if I was like a horse, and I was like, and I was like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, I left. I remember leaving. I'm feeling really upset, and I was like, why am I this upset about this? But it's just completely dehumanizing.
Exactly.
It's like, I was like, I don't. Like, how do you tell people to, like, it just feels like an obvious thing.
Exactly.
And it's never happened to you. It's not like when you go get a blow dry, your friends aren't coming up to you and touching your hair.
Yeah.
Like, you understand that concept. So, like, why to me you can't, I don't know.
Exactly. And it kind of goes back to what you said about being like the spokesperson in your job.
Yes.
It's like you feel like embarrassed and stupid to have to explain, no, you can't touch my hair, because it's kind of a microaggression actually. And you're just kind of like, you feel like the spokesperson. It just feels like it's so self-explanatory that I actually don't know how to put it into words.
And it sounds silly to say it out loud, right? It's like, I got really upset because someone touched my hair. But actually, no, I have a right to be this upset. Like,
so it really made me think about how other mixed race people have grown up outside of London, have grown up, what their experiences are. You really can't conflate all.
No, definitely not.
Like black and brown experiences.
For sure.
In and outside of
Yeah.
London.
How did you find that experience in Lisbon? Like, did you feel like you were treated differently or anything like that?
It's a really interesting one. So, first of all, there's being non-white.
Yes.
But I feel like people being
just not Portuguese.
There's so many layers.
So many layers.
So, okay. When I was living in my year abroad, I would get people stop me in the street and ask me if I was Angolan.
Right,
I was Cape Verdean, Mozambican. And I just kind of like, it's not any of your business. Like, so random.
Yeah.
So I think there was a certain fascination people had with me because I was mixed race. Or because I was half black or something, or just not Portuguese. But then there's the added layer of being British, and so I'm not just I'm actually British.
Yes.
Which kind of, I guess, maybe adds another layer of fascination. Maybe they treat me different.
For sure.
In that sense. The other layer I cannot remember what it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. It from my own perspective, being mixed race but not Portuguese, knowing that I have a different experience to other mixed race people who are Portuguese, it kind of made me feel like, as much as I would automatically gravitate towards people that look like me, we don't
have the same experience.
Yeah, and so it was a tough one, especially trying to find people that I could identify with in Lisbon, because I personally couldn't identify with other non-Portuguese people.
Right. Yes.
It was kind of tough to find my crowd.
Yeah.
But I did end up gravitating towards people who weren't necessarily Portuguese, but maybe were like black or brown.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, it is a very interesting one for sure. Can I ask you about dating in Lisbon?
Yeah. So, what was my dating experience? What I guess what's your question?
How was it? Like for me, I definitely felt it in Barcelona, where I was like, people react to me in a very different way in Barcelona than they would here. Here being London, for example.
Yeah. So I guess I agree with you. In London, I don't feel like I stand out that much.
Yeah,
I know I'm like 6'4", but like I feel like there's a million mixture of people out there.
For sure.
In Portugal, yeah.
It was almost like this, like fetishism.
Yeah.
For me, like if someone was from Barcelona or Spanish, the first approach was something to do with my skin tone or my hair, and that was just immediately uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't feel like I had the same experience at all as like some of my white friends, like in terms of dating. Like I found it a lot harder. Like
really?
Yeah, really difficult, to the point where at one point I was like, I think I'm just gonna have to move back to London.
Really?
Yeah, just wasn't clicking. I mean, I think there's definitely like probably like a cultural part of it where it's like, probably regardless if I'd been white, like another ethnicity, maybe I still maybe would have struggled just a little bit. But I think there was just that lack of a click with people that were from there, or even like other European countries, where like the people, like for example, like on dating apps, the people that would match me majority of the time were Brits or Americans coming abroad for their holiday, which was not that interesting for me. But yeah, and I found it a lot tougher. And I at one point I was like, if I want to be serious about like starting a family or anything like that, I'm gonna have to move back.
Yeah. And it's just so sad.
It's so sad. I was like, this is dramatic.
But it's true. Like what you said, there's like a certain fascination, and you have to think that when you then meet someone new, you're like, why is this person actually interested in me?
Weird. And it's like, because then you kind of do the things like, am I overthinking it, or like, I mean, there was a lot of times where it'd be like, your standards too high. It'd be like, no, I actually just want someone to just respect me for who I am. Like, it's actually
not too high.
No.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know. It was a weird one. And like, at one point I just tapped out of it. I was just like, I'm just not going to do it, because I just don't think it's going to happen for me here. I'm just going to like enjoy the time that I have here. And then when it comes like time for me to come home, then I'll come home.
So like you're living life in Barcelona as it is, and then like you put your dating life on hold and then you come.
Yeah, I mean, not so much anymore, but like this time last year, that's pretty much where I was at. I was just like, but
it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Me personally, when I moved there, I didn't like factor that in. So
I didn't. No, I didn't think about it at all. Like I thought I would have this really healthy dating life, and I was really excited about it, which led to even more disappointment.
Yeah.
But and it was I didn't think about it. Maybe naively, again, didn't factor it in, but I was like, I don't know, like Barcelona specifically felt like this like modern cosmopolitan place where, but I looked at my white friends and what they were doing in terms of the dating life was just vastly different. Like even on a night out, like do you know what I mean? Like you can see people clock you, never happening. And when I did, this one guy thought I was a prostitute. This went to that straight assumption, you must be a prostitute. I was like, okay, brilliant. yeah. That's where it goes.
Yeah, it's just
I was just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's people who aren't basically non-black and brown women just don't know what it feels like.
No.
So I have to add that into
and like the closest thing I can, like because it was a conversation that I did have to have with a lot of my friends. And I was like, you know, when someone is treating you differently because you're a woman, like you have that instinctive feeling, you know it. Just add the layer. Just add the layer, and that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, fascinating one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this disclaimer that me and Courtney have already recorded this episode twice before, but we've never got here, which is fun. Like, we went completely different.
Yeah. I was thinking about that as well. Like, we're having completely different conversations.
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah.
It's a new layer every time.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spain, though, you have actually come back from like traveling there and like, but you're like working remotely and stuff. And I wanted to ask you a bit about that and your experience of that, because it's obviously something that's becoming increasingly popular. Like workplaces in general are really encouraged to give more flexibility to employees and things like that. How have you found that experience of working remotely? Obviously, right now it's just you pretty much. How do you manage that?
So first of all, the main thing that I love about my job is the flexibility. So flexibility in the day, I can work 6 hours here, then 2 hours there, kind of mix it up, or especially when I was traveling, I'd do a few hours on a Sunday and then finish off on a Monday, then take the rest of the day off to go sightseeing.
Yeah,
that's been brilliant, and it's, I think, what I need as a worker is flexibility and like to kind of own my own time.
Yes.
I know what I need to do. I know how long it will take me to do it, so just leave me to do it.
Yes, I so like that same wavelengths as well. Yeah.
It's just just to know that I can manage my own time and trust myself
for sure
to do my own work. And so luckily now that I'm the only person working on Jamii, because my sister has gone to work at Lloyds Bank. I'm basically, I don't need to be in one place. I don't need to be in an office. So I'm going to use this opportunity to travel around more. So I went to Spain and Portugal in one trip, which was amazing. Weather was amazing. For March especially, I just thought I can't stay here in London. I have to get out. And it was, I think when I first started planning it, doing these kind of trips, I was worried that kind of I'd see the sun out the window and be like, oh, I'd rather be out there, forget work, close my laptop and going to the beach. It's actually been fine, especially because in sunny places,
it stays
for longer.
Sunny.
So I can mix it up, take a long lunch, enjoy the sun, or finish up and the sun will still be out. Kind of thing. So it was really good, and I just wanted to more.
Do you think that would be something that you would want to try and keep encouraging? Like, if the Jamii team were to expand, like, do you think that would still be as feasible, or do you think it would be better to be back in one place?
Honestly, I'd say it's probably better to be back in one place.
Regrettably.
Regrettably. Trying to hold on to be like a one-man team. I do admit that being able to work together in one team in one office is really beneficial.
For sure.
And I have to say, I do like that aspect of working together as being able to socialize and bounce ideas off each other in one office as well. I liked it when I was working with my sister, like this time last year, we shared an office. I feel like I'd be probably doing the people in my team an injustice if we were all kind of traveling around everywhere and not, because there's a sense of not being able to fit each other in the same way, not being able to give enough time to things, match each other's schedules kind of thing, which in a traditional job is a lot easier to do because you're in the same place and you have the same timetable. So if we were to add more people to our team, I'd probably opt for the office.
I hear that. That's fair enough. What's been for you like one of the most rewarding aspects of working for Jamii?
I think it's being able to hear how we've helped other business owners. So just last week we did a marketplace in the offices of Klaviyo, which is something that we've done a few times before. Basically, an organization will get in touch with us to organize an internal marketplace, and then we'll gather some of our makers that we work with to basically sell to the team. So you have like candles, skincare, and homeware during the lunch break, and then the team can all buy from it. And I really got some kind messages from the makers afterwards.
Oh,
like,
great!
It's such a pleasure to work with you. We love doing stuff like this. And especially in the past 3 years, we've been able to see tangibly the ways that Jamii has helped makers.
Brilliant.
Whether it's like just get them more sales, get them more visibility, get them into like amazing show-stopping campaigns, that kind of thing. It's just really heartening to see.
Brilliant.
I think that makes me most proud.
For sure, that makes sense. How do you go about kind of sourcing the makers and creators? Is it like for an application process, or I guess at the beginning there wasn't even that process that really existed? Like, because I guess Cardia kind of built that side of things.
Yeah, in the beginning, Cardia was calling out people and was like, do you want to join a discount card? And they'd be like, yeah. So that's how we started. We launched with like 25 makers. In the years since, it's become just an online application form. In 2020, when everything happened with George Floyd, there was so much more of a spotlight on supporting Black-owned businesses.
For sure.
That we'd have like 50 applications a day.
Wow.
50 applications. So.
Wow. Do you think that was also, because obviously that kind of came with the year of everyone working from home, and there was this huge thing of like people reassessing what they wanted to do with their lives and like whether they were happy in what they were doing, and it was almost like this opportunity for people to start their own things. Like, it was a real trend that people were just starting their own businesses. Do you think it was like a conflation of both of those things kind of happening?
Yeah, definitely. A lot. Well, I say yes and no. So we definitely saw a rise in the maybe 6 months afterwards of businesses reaching out to us who had launched during lockdown. However, in our own application form, I think at the time we kind of had a caveat that like you need to have been trading for like at least a year.
Right. Okay.
So we didn't necessarily at the time have those businesses joining.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a combination of a lot of people finding out about us at that time.
Yeah.
Who had maybe been operating for like years.
Yeah.
But then in the year or so since, we'd seen, yes, we launched in 2020. I started doing this during lockdown.
Well, VG is one of those companies.
Oh,
yeah. We're a 2020 launcher too.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting to see people's stories. So I remember one candle brand who basically discovered making candles because they were on furlough or something, which is such a common story. That's how you discover new things. Like in lockdown, I discovered yoga. Oh, I love it. I'm like, should I become a yoga teacher? It's just my lockdown story.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's like, I feel like increasingly like the hobbies that we pick up, we're like, should I just do this? Like, is this my life now? It's so funny how like we make that switch, right? Like, it's like, maybe this is something I want to explore further.
Yeah. I mean, I was having this conversation with Carlia last week about kind of turning a hobby into your job.
Yes.
It's elite, and it doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily going to mean
sometimes it should just stay as a hobby.
Yeah. Once you're dependent on making money from that hobby.
No, for sure. No, that makes sense. Actually, speaking of that, because obviously, you started working on Jamii part-time at uni. Did you ever kind of explore other options, or did you kind of know that you were going to do Jamii?
So I didn't know that I was going to become full-time on Jamii until 2019, and I graduated in 2018.
Oh, okay. So you had like a year.
So where I had another job when I was working in Lisbon.
Right.
And I always feel like the work that I've done at uni, so like languages, and then I was like writing a lot of essays on all kinds of topics that I found really interesting. None of them were specifically vocational, and so I could have had a broad range of jobs that I could have gone into. So the first job I had was in marketing. Jamii on the side was more content writing. And then eventually it became operations. And so in terms of looking for a job, even when I just graduated straight out of uni, there wasn't a straight path.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to what you were saying about everyone working on viaduct generation.
Yeah.
playing to their skills. I think that's how it was with Jamii.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
And actually, like, because obviously you're now kind of manning the whole thing. Manning, what an expression. That's like so male, isn't it? Womaning the whole thing. We are changing vocab. How have you, like, because you mentioned earlier, like, kind of like learning on the go, like in the startup, you just, if there's a gap, you fill it, you know? How have you kind of skilled up? Has it been something like quite intentional, like, okay, I know that I'm going to have to look after this, so like, let me look up a course, or let me talk to this person who I know is really good at this. Like, how have you kind of skilled yourself up in that way?
A bit of both. One thing I think is like sorting the knowledge.
Yeah.
The other thing I just think it's a mentality.
Yeah.
You have to see yourself doing it and seeing yourself as not being a big deal. Like I learn a lot from Kalia. She is older than me, you know, as my sister, I've always seen her as like a role model. But as a business owner, this is everything that she's doing for the first time.
Yes.
So the whole time that I was working with her, I think I'd forget that she was also just making it up on the fly.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, you know, you're the business owner, you're the boss. But now that I'm the CEO, I think it's just to remind yourself that, you know, you can do it.
Yeah.
Just because you haven't done it before doesn't mean you can't do it.
Completely.
You just have to try it. Like, tell yourself that you have done it a million times, maybe whatever you need to give yourself that confidence. And tell yourself that you've got this far, like you're actually more capable than you realize.
Yeah.
Like, especially for me, I feel like I'm telling myself what Kalia tells me. She's like, you are the expert here.
Yeah.
Like you're telling people, it doesn't matter if they're the CEO of another organization, doesn't matter how big this organization is. You're telling something that they need to know.
Yeah.
You're the expert here. So don't let anything like make you feel nervous.
For sure.
Love that. You're in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this could be a whole other episode, but have you felt like that kind of, I guess, the imposter syndrome kind of feels like, have you experienced that, like, in what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now that everything is down to me, it's I mean, what I just said, a lot of it I've never done before.
Yeah.
And so it's subconscious. Oh, I'm gonna have to prove myself to this person.
Completely. Yeah.
But it sounds like really cliche, but you are just in your own lane.
Yes.
Like, just don't focus on them, just focus on yourself.
For sure.
All the things that you have achieved to this point. First of all, they're your achievements and they're the reasons why you're here.
Yeah.
But also, they're proof that you can do this next challenge.
Completely. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to pick yourself up. You just have to be like, I actually am that girl.
I think that imposter syndrome is something that Black and mixed race people, Black and brown people experience probably more.
Yeah, I think it's like that idea of, like, from the go, we're told like you're gonna have to work twice as hard, or you need to be at the top, otherwise you're failing, or like, I think from the go we kind of have this push, whether we're aware of what it is or not at that point, but there is that kind of, am I good enough? Are they gonna accept me as I am, or like, are they gonna see past who I am to kind of get the job done? Or
especially with these, I guess, diversity drives in the past few years. Some of them are sincere, some of them not so sincere. People may look at you and be like, are you just here because there's
oh my god, I find that so frustrating, because it's like, just for me to get into this room in the first place, I probably have had to work twice as hard in terms of proving myself to get here. And it's like, all because there is maybe a quota or something like that, it doesn't mean that they've gone and hired anybody off the street. Like, they've still looked at our skills, have said, these 3 people have the same skills, but we're going to give this person the opportunity because they usually don't get that opportunity. Like, that's essentially what those are for, right? And it's really frustrating when they're twisted into something that they're not. That was something also that I've studied in the management side of my degree. Actually, I did a module on diversity, and it was fascinating, also depressing, because it was like every week we were covering another reason why I wouldn't be hired. Like, do you know what I mean? And it was just like, let alone, you know, start having a baby. Like, the maternity thing was, I found the scariest thing of like people going back into work after having kids. Horrifying state of affairs. I really hope it's better now.
In what way?
But in terms of like the stats of like people getting like rehired into jobs, or like how they're treated after like they come back from maternity leave, it's as if you're essentially kind of almost starting again, but further back than you were before. Like, you're not trusted with certain projects because it's like, oh, you might get pregnant again, or like things like, yeah. I mean, I do think where conversation, because that was like almost 10 years ago now, so I feel like where conversation has gone is quite different now. We do, I think, the workplaces, there's a lot more pressure on this drive towards equality and inclusion. But yeah, there was some of the statistics and the case studies that we looked into. I was just like, I understand why people don't have kids. Like, well, women specifically, because men don't have that same tax almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was humbling. But it just feels insane, because it's like, at the end of the day, like, I am this individual showing you my skill set. It's clear that I've got this past experience, or even if I don't have this past experience, I can probably learn on the job, you know, but here are my attributes. Surely it should just come down to that. Obviously, that's a naive thing to think, but it should.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's just so many layers to imposter syndrome.
Like so many layers. There's this really interesting article. I feel like I always rave about it. It was published in the Harvard Business Review. That it was literally called like "Stop Telling Women They Have Imposter Syndrome," because it was all about like workplaces, traditional workplaces aren't built with, I guess, women in mind, almost, in terms of like our work-life balance or certain attributes. Like, it's this idea of like a leader looks like a certain way, and if you don't fulfill all of that criteria, or even if women actually mimic that exact thing, it's seen actually in a really negative way. It's like this idea of like being assertive or being bossy, like you'll automatically want to get like this bossy label, right?
Yeah.
And so it was saying like these workplaces haven't been built for women, or even like minority, like any minority group, which even in that, like, actually the world majority is non-white. So, but anyways, that's another point. But like, yeah, and it was essentially saying like these women actually come in. There was a stat that showed like actually women coming into, specifically it was looking at women, saying when they come into the workplace, they feel just as confident as men do coming into the workplace. We just navigate things, again, very big generalizations, but we navigate things in a different way. Like, our way of showing our skill or talking about our skill and our input tends to be quite different. A lot of the time, we almost go down this meritocratic route where it's like, if I put in the work, it will show and I'll get my promotion. Whereas like men from the go are like, when's my promotion? And like, so the conversation and the perspectives are really different. And so actually, maybe we don't actually have imposter syndrome. It's just these workplaces aren't built or made for us.
That's a really interesting point.
I'll send you the article.
Yeah.
Honestly, I read it and I was like, there was a switch that happened in my brain where I was like, actually, I belong here. Like, I belong here. Like, I deserve to be here just as much as the next person.
Exactly.
And actually, it's like the environments I've been put in that make me feel like I'm not as good as actually I am.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wonder what Jamii would be like if Kalia was a man. Maybe she'd be taken seriously by different people. Maybe Jamii would be.
Would the growth be different?
Yeah, maybe the growth would be different. Maybe Kalia would be more assertive, more, what's this word? I guess not to generalize, but I in my experience, I feel like male business owners or male workers maybe are more likely to project like hypotheticals,
yes,
about where the direction of the business is going.
Absolutely.
Whereas women might be more likely to kind of give a realistic point of view.
Yeah, we're more risk aware.
in
general.
Generally, and that might like hurt growth. That might hurt how many people get behind us. Which is just an interesting insight. Maybe a generalization, but that's my perspective anyway.
For sure. Very interesting stuff. We've unfortunately hit the hour mark. I actually have so many questions, and I'm like, we're not going to get through them. So it was great. Yeah. I mean, third time lucky. I'm really hoping third time lucky. Okay, I'm going to the game. I don't know if you remember these now, but we're going to do it. It's fill in the blank.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to give like part of a sentence and then blank, and you fill that part in. So first one, I love my work
because I get to help business owners.
Love that. At the weekend, you can find me.
You can find me going on really long city walks.
Oh, enjoyable. Love that. Blank would be my side hustle. Yoga.
I'm just sitting in the sun.
You're sitting in the sun. Oh my god! If I could get paid for that, I'd be a rich woman.
Sunbeds, hotels, I do that.
If I could live anywhere, it would be
Portugal.
Hey. My next holiday will be to
Portugal.
A theme. And then a goal of mine for this year
is to just find like a really healthy like work-life balance that makes me content, brings me contentment.
Yeah. Do you feel like have you had like moments where you're like, I've nailed it? Or not?
They're so fleeting.
So fleeting. It's like in the moment. It's like the day.
Yeah, I know, right? Because it's like you always wonder, like you can't, you might get like a wonderful holiday forever, but like you know that you're kind of stepping out of reality. Yes. You can't live that way forever.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that. Yeah. Find like a sustainable way of maintaining it. Yeah. I hear that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming on again. It was honestly, it's been a great conversation. Like honestly, I'm like, maybe we'll have to do another one with my questions.
I mean, we can ask them now and then just like cut
potentially, but I mean, let's cut it now. I feel like I've taken enough of your time for sure, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of that with us. Anything you'd like to plug? What I didn't mention and that I would like to mention is the Black owned business report that you guys have just done. Do you want to like give a little plug?
Yeah, so around September last year, we asked about 200 Black owned businesses how they expected to be impacted by like current cost of living crisis and general economic difficulties. And the results were a bit stark. We released our report about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It basically showed how much Black business owners currently lack cash reserves, how concerned they are about the prospect of a recession. It's really interesting though, because there's like a very surprising level of confidence that kind of despite all these setbacks, despite not having much resources or cash reserves, a lot of businesses
there's an optimism there.
There's an optimism. They think they'll survive a recession. So it's very interesting as to why.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally our perspective from looking at this data is that a lot needs to be done to kind of set up a network of support and resources for Black owned businesses.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of data surrounding Black entrepreneurs and their needs and their challenges. And so hopefully this can be some kind of starting point to set up like tailored support for businesses like this.
Absolutely. Love that. So you can download that from the Jamii website.
Yeah. If you go to lovejamii.com/report.
Perfect. Great. Where else can they catch up with you? Your social?
Yes, social media, Instagram mainly. So UK Jamii. We're trying to get TikTok off the ground.
Support them.
UK Jamii as well. Also on Twitter and Facebook.
Love that. Amazing. And if you want to keep up with the podcast and what we're doing at BG. You can also follow us on our socials. That's at FiredUpGen on Instagram, Fireduct Generation on both LinkedIn and YouTube, and then at Fireduct_Gen on Twitter. Thanks again, Courtney. Really appreciate it. And I'll speak to you guys soon.